In today's episode of the Hexagon Challenge, we have a transfer window roundup to date, and we also have our first game in charge here at Atletico Nacional in the Superliga Bet Play final over 2 legs, essentially Colombia's Community Shield, and it's against our derby rivals Independiente Medellin. Hello everyone, welcome back to Shaun Does FM. I hope you are doing well. If you are new to the channel or have not done so already, then please do hit that subscribe button. It is greatly appreciated, and it also lets me know that you guys want to keep seeing more content like this. So as I said, today we are about to come up to our first game in charge of Atletico Nacional competitively, and it is against derby rivals Independiente Medellin. But before that, we did indeed have a transfer window, so we will go and have a look at that. We haven't done all the business that we were planning on doing yet. There's a few reasons for that, we'll go over it, but I think we've strengthened up in most of the areas that I mentioned when we first got the job last episode a few days ago. If you have not checked that one out, episode 34, then please do, because we did a little bit of a rundown of the squad once we got here. So some of this was done late last season. The season didn't really click over until just a few days ago. So in terms of players out, now a lot of these were done before I got here. We discussed that last episode, the likes of Nicolas Murcia. I said he was leaving on a free. We actually got about 7 million for him. Still don't know why the previous manager decided to let this guy go. Just brilliant player, best at the club. I'll spoil things. I haven't been able to find anyone as good as him, especially for that price. But we have made one sale. I'm pretty sure it's the only one we've made. It was a youngster, Louis Duque. He was a youngster, 16-year-old. We got 500,000 for him. Maybe could have got a little bit more, but potential-wise, he didn't look that great. As you can see, estimated cost, we probably could have got another 100k out of Deportivo Cali, but he wasn't going to feature in the first team. He had 3.5 star potential, 1.5 star current ability, and with us looking to improve the team, I thought it was a good time to offload a player like this. I thought it was good money for a young player, so we let him go. If we look at the scout summary, I didn't rate him that much, so I'm not too worried about that one. And we'll flick over to the new season just to make sure, and that is the only sale that we've made so far. In terms of our ins, we've made quite a few. 2 on this side of the transfer window. First off, Johnny Perlaza, 6.5 million, could rise up to 8 million from Deportivo Cali. He is a 20-year-old defensive midfielder who can also cover all the midfield positions down the middle, as well as centre-back. You look at his stats, very well-rounded for a 20-year-old. Plenty of potential. I really like him where he's going to be for us. The plan is to have him as a deep-lying playmaker. We just need to get one more midfielder in yet, but there's a deal in the works. I think we've done pretty well getting him. I think he's going to rise in value nicely. He's probably a player that we might potentially look to play a little bit further forward. You see, he likes to try first-time shots, good first touches, finishing not great, but good passing, good vision. He looks like a really good player to facilitate between the defence and the attack for us. Like him as a player for the future with plenty of room to grow. We spent $5 million on Angel Perez not long after that from a divisional rival and Independiente Santa Fe, a 3-star right back with room to improve. As I said in the last episode, we had Jose Ortiz as our right back, and for mine, he's more suited to centre back than he did to right back, so we've bought this guy in for right back. He's another 20-year-old with plenty of potential. He should grow quite nicely. His crossing and dribbling not great, but that's something that he can definitely improve on. But decision making, concentration, he's got a bit of pace, good high work rate, good tackler, good marker. I like him as an attacking fullback, likes to get forward whenever possible. I think he'll do a decent job for us there. He has gone straight into the starting lineup, as has Perlaza. And if we come to the new season, we have made a few more transfers. James Aguirre, we only had one goalkeeper in the squad once our free transfers that were already pre-arranged did happen. So we bought this guy and he came to the club on trial, and he looks like a solid backup option. Older head, bit of leadership, hopefully can look after quite a young team, you have to say, we've got here. He's going to be back up to Lara in goal, who is without a shadow of a doubt our number one. So he's our backup goalkeeper. And the other signing that we've made not too long after that new season ticked over, Hector Boya. He is a central midfielder. He can play right back, but we're not going to use him there unless we get very desperate. Again, a pretty well-rounded central midfielder, Another player with really good stamina, should be able to do a good job with this sort of Gegenpressy 4-3-3 that we've been using the whole save so far, because there hasn't really been a need to change it because we haven't lost many games. Got him from Envigado. Again, a player who looks very good and who can definitely grow for us. So not a lot of transfers, but we've just been strengthening those areas I said, mainly centre midfield. In terms of what's going to be coming up transfer-wise, because the transfer window is still open for nearly another month, you can see we've got just about 14 million left in the bank and a lot of wage. We are looking at selling one of our centre-backs, which may seem strange, but I'll explain why. Jaime Gomez Andrade, 33-year-old, who wasn't the first team when we got here. There is one thing I hate about him. Ignore his potential and current, which isn't going to grow, so it's probably a good time to offload him anyway, but he's 1.58 m, and for a centre-back, I absolutely hate that. I can get players that are a ruler, 30 centimetres taller than him, for the same price. So I'm going to get rid of him. He's a good, brave player. Heading-wise, he's good, but I don't know how much use having a good jumping reach or heading is when you're only 1.58 tall. So we're looking to get rid of him. There's a bid in from Inter Miami for $600,000. I think that's a good deal for a 33-year-old with no growth who is probably on the decline. And then we have the players coming in. Jesus Murillo was a centre-back. We can also cover right-back, who we got in on a trial. We've put a bid in for him. He's going to be squad cover for both centre-back and right-back. Mostly centre-back, 1.83 m, decent heading and jumping reach. He's pretty well-rounded for what we're looking for with a centre-back for our ball-playing defenders. His passing's okay at 10. He's going to provide squad cover, and hopefully he's going to come in soon, hopefully some stage over this episode. Then we've got Jean Carlos Serna from Deportes Tolima. That is the team who knocked us out of the Cup last year at Cucuta Deportivo and then went on to win it. He was in the Media Dream 11. We went for another centre-back from Independiente Medellin, but he signed a contract after we put the bid in, and his value then went up. It just became too difficult. So we went for this guy, Serna. He is going to be a centre-back for us, but can also slot forward into that CDM role. He's currently being scouted, but you can see 1.82 m. You can tell his heading and his jumping reach are good already. Strong player. Most of the things you're looking for in a defender, he is good at. He's actually a really good passer, so I think he's going to suit our ball-playing defender role quite well. And being 18, he is definitely a player for the future, and he will be getting first-team football. I imagine he's going to come straight into the first team, so he's one who's also hopefully going to join us soon. It's up to 8 million for him, maybe rising to 9.5, possibly paying more than we need to, but it's a position, as I said, that especially if we're going to sell Jaime, that we need to bring someone in, and he looks a very good option for the future. And the other first-team transfer to round out our midfielders, one Sebastian Silva from Alianza Petrolera, another team that we took on last season, albeit they are from the top division. We took them on in the Cup. We're trying to bring him in for 3.5 million. He could potentially be more of the deep line playmaker as opposed to Petrelta. You can see he's got a really good first touch. You can already tell he's very well suited to the deep line playmaker role that we're going to have him potentially. And decent passer. His technique, his vision is very good. He looks really well suited to the deep line playmaker role. His stamina is pretty good. Not much pace, but that's probably why we'll have him in that role. And we can put Petrelta further forward. Once again, a deal that hopefully is going to get done soon. I will show you some players that we were actually looking at getting, and we'll go to our shortlist. Something that I've noticed since coming here, we could have got better players in than that, because I'm sure you're thinking these guys aren't much better than the guys you already had, Shaun. And you're 100% right. But in terms of the players who we can actually get here, if we look at the wage demand, because this is where it's going to become obvious, the likes of Parfait Guillagon we nearly got, but we were really stretching our maximum wage for him. And then Ali Mohammed, he wanted too big a wage. He looked a good player if we look at him. 30-year-old Nigerian with 53 caps for the national team. I would like to give him, but unfortunately, we can only really stretch our wage out to about 30k a week at the very maximum for star players, and then it drops down the lower you get, and it just wasn't enough to be able to afford these type of players who could absolutely make a big difference in the first team. Also the likes of Atuesta, he was on my radar, but 28 years old for a player who is probably not going to grow as much as the players who were bought in, and also he wants a hefty wage, and he also would have been 12 to 24 million, and he just was going to be a bit too much considering we had about 23 with those extra fees that I wasn't expecting for the players who were already agreed to leave. It did go up to about 30 million at one stage. But yeah, there were some players that I was looking at getting in, but because of wages we couldn't. I think there was a couple of centre backs in here as well. Quintero is a player who I was definitely looking at. There's the Independiente Medellin player. I was going after German Meneses. He would have just been a bit more than the other option. So there were players I was looking at, but unfortunately the ones who could have been big steps up from what we had in this team just weren't willing to come, considering the wage restrictions we have in place here. So what that means for our team, if we go to our tactics, for this first game that we're about to play, they do have numbers, by the way, on the back of their shirts, but the numbers are in green, just if you're wondering. I wish they were in black like the goalkeeper, but they're not. So we've got Lara's in goal still. As I said, Perez will go into right back, which means Ortiz can go in at centre. And Angel, who is still here on loan, he's not leaving on loan. Well, he's not leaving from his loan until the middle of the season. Hopefully we might have a bit more money by then, or a little bit left over, and we can try and bring him to the club full-time, a local player. Hopefully we can get him from Lille. He's valued at 2.1 million, that's the concern. But he's very good heading-wise and with jumping reach. As I said last episode, a player I'd like to get in, but we're going to need to wait until the middle of the year and maybe even next year with how our budget's now looking. In the midfield, Juan Fuentes is still in the team with Boya and Plaza further forward. As I said, we'll probably look to swap Fuentes for Juan Sebastian Silva once that transfer comes through. We did have an offer for Fuentes, about 2 million from a MLS club, I believe it was, but the way the transfer window was going, I thought we might keep him and maybe try and maybe get rid of him next season or in the mid-season transfer window once we perhaps have got a few more options, because one of the issues I've also had with the transfers this window is only getting my scouts in a couple of weeks ago, and we haven't been able to get reports on as many players as I would like. And our front three remains the same: Duran, Estupinan and Gutierrez. In terms of the bench now, it's only a 5-man bench here in Colombia, at least in terms of these cup games. We've got Cordoba, who can cover pretty much anywhere towards the back. Young 19-year-old local Colombian player with a little bit of potential, but 2.5-star rating. As you can see, he's a really good bench option because he can cover a lot of places. We've got Buichlago, another 2.5-star youngster, same age, a lot more potential. He can cover right back and the midfield positions. Montoya, a player who was in the first team before those transfers, 20 years old, a little bit of potential at 2.5-star, solid player for our bench. Mosquera is returning from injury, a 3-star 24-year-old winger who can cover both sides as well as go up front, albeit that's probably a position I won't look to play him with that 7 finishing. But once again, decent player with a little bit of potential to grow. And then our backup striker is Hernando Venegas. As I said last episode, I'll try not to call him Hernan Venegas too much. But yeah, uncanny the fact that we've got another Hernando Venegas at this team, as well as the one we had at Cúcuta Deportivo. 17-year-old striker with plenty of potential. We'll give him a bit of time off the bench. As you can see, that determination should mean he reaches that 4-star potential. He likes to round the keeper and place his shots. He looks like a good option for us off the bench. So that is our team at the moment, but with those extra transfers to come in, you can expect perhaps the like of Angel to be dropping to the bench maybe, and also Fuentes is the other player who will probably be dropping out of the first team, but he can go on the bench, and it just provides us a bit more squad depth, which is going to be needed considering that we've got the League, the Colombian Cup and the Copa Libertadores. So if we go our schedule, and we'll get into some gameplay now. Today we are just about to start the season. We haven't had a chance to play many friendlies, so all these players are still getting familiar with both our tactic as well as getting up to match fitness. Today we've got essentially the Community Shield of Colombia, the Superliga Bet Play final. It's across 2 leagues, away then home, and it's against Independiente Medellin, who are our derby rivals. That is them right there. You can see that they've also got a pretty good record in competitions. Not as good as ours, you'd have to say. We've got a couple of Copa Libertadores over them, but they are definitely going to be one of our biggest rivals, and they don't like us very much. They are our fiercest rival, and this is the Clásico Paisa Derby. So they are a team who, when we get the chance to play them, we might be doing a bit of that on camera this season. You can see they're in the Copa Libertadores. I think that last season, if we look at their competitions, now we're up to 2026, they did win the first stage of the competition last year, so I think they're going to be joining this Copa Libertadores at the same stage as us in the second qualifying round. We'll see about that. But we have also had the draw for that. So today we're going to do this sort of Community Shield, and I will show you guys the highlights of that league game in between against Independiente Santa Fe. What I'm going to do this season is, with us returning to continental competitions, I think we're going to not show the league games as much, especially here in Colombia, where you only need to make the top 8 and then you go into that semi-final phase where the best team in the group makes the final, and whoever wins that wins. The overall league form isn't as important, so I'm not going to focus on the league. Obviously, we still need to do well in it, because if we win that, we're going to get into the Copa Libertadores for next season, and that is what we want to do. But in terms of what we're going to show on camera live, I think we're going to do the cup games, and also after today's games against Independiente Medellin, we'll probably come back for that second round qualifying tie against Blooming, who, if we look at them, are from Bolivia, and they don't look like they should pose us too many issues, but you never know, of course, these sort of clubs. I'm expecting them to be very similar to what we encountered at Hamilton Wanderers, with the likes of Tafia and the overseas teams that we played in that competition. I'm expecting these guys maybe not to be as tough as like the teams from Brazil or the fellow Colombian teams or Argentinian teams will be. So I think that's a tie that we should be getting through. But we'll come back for that next episode, and hopefully we can get the job done against them. And we'll be one step away from making that Copa Libertadores group stage. But yeah, we'll definitely be focusing more on the cup competitions this season, and league games less so. I mean, there is one league game that's going to stand out a lot more from the others, considering my history. And ironically, it's the last league game of the season for... No, it's not. Why do we play Independiente Medellin twice? That's strange. But the main game that no doubt you guys are going to want to see is against our own team, our old team, I should say, Cúcuta Deportivo. That is in late May. It will be just before we get into the group semi-final stage, so we should have a pretty good idea about where we're going to finish and where we're going to be ranked before then. And once again, if we go down to the second stage, they are right near the late end of that as well, so we'll have a pretty good idea of how we're tracking as we go into that game at our old stomping ground, the General Santander. So hopefully that wasn't too jumbled and you guys got a pretty good idea of what we are planning this season. Mainly the focus is going to be on the cups, especially the Copa Libertadores. The board want us to reach the second round. If we look at the club vision, go on the right page. Yeah, they want us to reach the second round minimum, and so we still have to reach the group stage. So we've got a fair way to go to please the board. In terms of the league, they want us to win it. With this competition, though, the Superliga Betplay, they do not care, which is interesting. I would really like to beat these guys, considering it is a rivalry game. So, as discussed earlier, that is our team for this game. Hopefully, by the second league, we might have some extra improvements to this team. But for now, that is it. You can see it with the technical familiarity, there still is a lot of work-ons for these boys. The only player who's really where I want them to be, apart from, it's really Perez, Ortiz, and Boya, who are starting to get used to it, but our attackers need a bit more work, so hopefully that doesn't take too long, especially once we get some more game time into them. And we will see how we get on against a team who this club, before we joined, beat in last year's second phase final over 2 leagues, so they probably will want revenge on us. Looks like they're going to be playing a 4-4-2 as compared to when they last played us, and we'll see how we get on in this pre-season cup. It would be nice to win our first bit of silverware early in the season, even if it doesn't mean a great deal. And we do get the TV coverage. So here's Independiente Medellin. As the assistant suggested, they are going with a 4-4-2. I can't say I'm familiar with too many of these players yet, but there is our 4-3-3. You can see Perez, Boya, and Plaza all making their debut. So not a heap of changes from what these guys were doing last season. Only the 5 subs. That's going to take some getting used to, but we will be kicking off. We are playing left to right in our white with the green stripe, and Independiente Medellin in the mostly red with a bit of a, I think it's a blue half. Looks a bit blackish, but Fuentes starts out with the ball heading towards our goal. It's a wild shot there from, I think it was Boya, over the top bar. We have the first shot, but nothing coming from it as it remains 0 after 2 minutes. Let's see how we get on in this first game in charge. Okay, 5 minutes gone and we've got a corner. Duran to put this in. Ortiz gets his head to it and bangs it in. That is a brilliant start for us. Early goal away from home in this Superliga Betplay, I think it was called. It's going to take me a while to get used to these competition names, especially this one, considering we should just call it the Colombian Community Shield. A good header from Duran. Ortiz bangs that in. And we're up to a good start, 1-0 early, although now Independiente Medellin have a corner not long after Toro to put this in. It is headed clear by Angel out to Manelo, and it is blocked by Gutierrez, and he can't quite get there before Malo. Now Betancourt back to Meneses, the player who we were looking to bring in. He's knocked that back, one of the Independiente Medellin players, and he's given it straight to Gutierrez. Now he has wheels in the box, bangs it, it hits the top post. The top crossbar deserved to be a goal, a good effort, but it goes out for a goal kick. We've started off well, 1-0 after 10 minutes. And now we have a free kick in the 9th minute. As it goes back to Perez Fuentes. He puts one over for Duran. His shot blocked. Molina sort of chips that clear out to Manelo, and that is the highlight. So it still is 1-0 just after 10 minutes. Long throw in the 14th minute. Fuentes puts that in quite nicely. It's headed away by Meneses out to Boya and Hell. Over to Aloyo. A 2-footed tackle there from Gonzalez. The referee didn't see anything wrong with it. Now he put this ball over the top for Gutierrez. He's a nicely lovely ball from Juan Aloyo, our very good left back. That was a position that we didn't feel like we needed to improve. We might still look to bring in maybe a backup for him, but he's a very good player, one of our best in the team, with the good midfielder leaving for Gremio. It's a nice ball over for Gutierrez. He was a good goal scorer for this team last season. He started off well for us. 2-0 inside 15 minutes. Things going very well. Free kick for Duran here. He just whips that past the left hand upright, and the strong start continues. Still 2-0 after 17 minutes, and it's Independiente Medellin who have a goal kick. They try and clear it with a long ball, but it's cut out by Arroyo, and Palaza and Gutierrez have a bit of 1-2. Gutierrez now back to Fuentes. He finds Duran. He got closed down to a tight angle by the defender, and the goalkeeper tips his shot over the crossbar, but we will have a corner. As we've already seen, we can be dangerous from these. He puts this in. Ortiz is beaten to that header though. It's out to Malo, and will anything come from this? Perlaza with a fairly cynical tackle. I think this might be a yellow. It is, and that's the highlights. Still 2-0 as we come up to 20 minutes. Okay, we are now at the half-hour mark. It's been pretty quiet since that opening flurry in the first 20 minutes. And then playing it out from the back here, Independiente Medellin. Paradella, who's on a yellow, so is Perlaza and Angel for us. But he's given the ball away here. Now it's Julan in the box. He plays it back out to Perez. They look to play a ball in. No, it's back to Boya. Perez out to Fuentes. Perlaza with a long shot just whizzes past the right hand upright. We are absolutely dominating this game. They are yet to have a shot, but it remains 2-0 after just over half an hour. Free kick. Just coming up to the 40-minute mark, Duran whips it in. Madranda in goal, claims that pretty safely. In terms of our old team, Moises Sandoval in goal ended up going to Talleres. That was the team who were tapping him up while we were still at the club. So unfortunately, we weren't able to get him as a backup. In the end, he probably would have been slightly better rated than Edgar Lara, but don't mind Lara. His eccentricity is lower than Sandoval's as we build something here. Arroyo just outside the box to Oscar Gutierrez. Lovely ball, lovely interplay, and we are now 3-0 up in this first league, and things looking very good here. Some nice play to get that ball to the left-hand side. Oscar over to Boya, whips this out to Arroyo. He just starts strolling his way, draws the defender into Oscar, into Gutierrez, who's in space and can pop that away. Top left-hand corner, very good start for our time here at Atletico Nacional. 3-0 in the first half. Throw in, and we're still coming up to half-time. Perlaza just getting that. Oscar tries to put Gutierrez in again, and he misses. Has to be called a sitter. Good chance for his hat-trick, but we're still 3-0 up as we come to half-time, and we will have another throw-in. Fuentes puts this in nice and long. Duran whips that on, and Madranda comes out and claims that just before. I think that was Gutierrez, might have been Oscar. One of them, either way, was trying to get on the end of that. And they look to strike just before half time, and they need to. This is their home league, and they are 3-0 down. So if the result stays this way, we will be looking good for a trophy within our first couple of games in charge here at Atletico Nacional. We've only got a minute and a half left of referee's time. Minero having a good little run for them there, and now Castro gets on the edge of the box, just sneaking inside. Here's a shot. It looked like it hit the post, And it does, tight angle, so I don't know if the chances of that going in were that high anyway. That was their first shot of the game. If we can keep them those sort of shots, we can be very happy. But you look at those stats, a thoroughly dominant performance from the boys here. A few players on yellow cards, but overall, hard not to be happy with that. We'll tell the boys they're doing very well, and we'll leave things as they are for now. Obviously, I do have to keep in mind we've got our first league game in a few days, so if players start getting tired for 3-0 lead, I think we'll just take off the players either of the highest importance or who are starting to get a bit tired off before the others. But if we can get a few more goals, that will be extremely good. 3-0 though. I am very happy with how our time is starting here at Atletico Nacional. Gonzalez for Independiente Medellin, playing the ball back in the midfield they are. Betancourt and back out to Gonzalez on the edge of the box. Here's the ball taken from him by Oloyo, and that's the end of the highlight. Still 3-0 just after half time, but that's a concern. Williams Duran, our young right winger who is very good, is off injured. We'll bring Mosquera on for him. Potential foot injury. Hopefully that's not too serious, but considering they've forced us to take him off, that's a bit concerning, and that's one of our substitutions gone already, but it remains 3-0. Let's hope that isn't too serious as we come up to the 50-minute mark. 57 minutes gone, a pretty quiet second half so far, apart from that injury to Julan, and they play out from the back here, Independiente Medellin. In terms of substitutions, I think we're going to look to take Oscar off quite shortly. He's on a yellow heart and one of our best players. Not sure why he was out on loan at this club or away from this club last season. 4-star player, definitely one of the best we've got in this team. And Mosquera nearly cuts out that pass, but Oscar will cut that one out, so maybe he can do something before he goes off the field. Tried to find Gutierrez, couldn't, but he's intercepted yet again, and he's through here. It's a tight angle to have a shot from, and the shot didn't have much power on it. From that tight angle, it will remain 3-0, and we will look to make that change to get Oscar off. The difficulty here, though, is who we can actually bring on for him, because we don't have many options. I think we'll give Cordoba a crack. You notice he can play a lot down the wings, and we can then switch Mosquera with him, and he will hopefully feel a bit more comfortable. I mean, not really, but we'll give him a crack there and see how he gets on. And Perlaza is also a bit tired. We'll bring Montoya on for him, and that will be our 3 subs, I believe. Half an hour left to go in this game. We hold a 3-0 lead. Let's see if we can increase it or at least keep it the way it is. Long throw after 72 minutes, a quiet second half. Oh, Cordoba. Oh, it's an absolute mess that, but somehow they've kept that away from being a goal. Plenty of block shots in that. A dangerous long throw that the keeper didn't claim, but they get away with it. Still 3-0 with quarter of an hour to go. And another long throw chance it is for us here at the 77 minutes. Fuentes loops this in. It is punched out by the keeper Montoya with a curled shot. It rebounds, but Cordoba was offside for the rebound. A really good effort from us there. The woodwork denying us remains 3-0. So far, a very good performance. Yet another long throw chance for us here. Fuentes, a player who I was thinking about replacing in this team, looks to be quite good at these. So we'll see if we can actually find someone as good at those as him, because he's creating some problems. Madranda punching them clear, rather unconvincing in this game so far. But it will remain 3-0 for now as we come to the last 4 minutes, and Independiente Medellin looking to build something while our boys' fitness just drops a little bit. Now it's Malo for them. Plays a cross ball for Minero, or Minero, I should say. Slight mix up with the names, but their shots off target, and it remains 3-0 as we come up to full time in this first league. 1 minute of extra time left. We have a throw in, but we've given it straight to Independiente Medellin. Gonzalez. Will they get us late? Perez cuts that out, albeit only as far as Tolo. Plays it in for Gonzalez. A good effort. Lara with a diving save, though. And hopefully that is that. They will have a corner. I think this is a team we are better at in the air, although Toro wins that header just as I say that, but can't keep it on target. And with 10 seconds left, and that is indeed full time, a very good first up performance from our boys here. 3-0 over a team who throughout the season are expected to be our main challenger for the title. Williams Duran creating quite a few chances before he went off with injury just after half time. We'll check if that's too serious. But look at the stats. They did create some more chances late, but in terms of shots on target, not many at all. The one chance they had, Lara producing that good diving save late in the game. But some good effort from our front three, in particular Oscar and Gutierrez. Overall, cannot be anything but pleased with that performance as we kick in to our first game of the actual season. And we'll just see how serious this injury is, and I will also show you guys the season preview as well before we start this first game. And unfortunately, he has got a twisted ankle, Williams Dulan. 3 to 5 weeks. We'll leave it to the physio. I'll just have a quick look when that Copa Libertadores game is, because that might keep him out for that. That's early February, so he'll be pushing it to be back for that, at least the first league. He might be back for that second league, but it's a bit of an unfortunate start to our time here. One of our best players out, but we'll be happy with that first league. Now, in terms of the league season, we'll look at the season preview before we play this game off camera. As you can see, with those additions to our squad, we've got 6 players in the Dream 11, and we are 13/8 to win the title. Very good odds, along with Independiente Medellin, who are 11/2 or $5.50 in New Zealand. So 5.5 to 1 if you want to compare them to, before there was America de Cali, but maybe it's not. But yeah, so we are quite heavily favoured to be doing well here. And if we look for Cúcuta Deportivo, the team that we were in charge of before last season, they are all the way down in 17th. So despite the fact I thought we'd done a pretty good job at building squad depth there, maybe they are going to struggle this year. It will be interesting to see how our former team does get on. But we will come back for the second leg of Superliga Bet Play Final and show you guys the highlights of our first league game when I see you shortly. Okay, so we're interrupting in between games. We're not even up to our league game yet, but what has happened nice and early in the season, which is something I do like here in Colombia, is that we've got our youth intake. As you can see, we've got a good young striker, Carlos Ramos. We've somehow managed to bring in a New Zealander, which is surely my influence, otherwise I don't know what's going on. And Johnny Brooks, a fair few players who current ability wise don't look great, but above Brooks, they're players who we can definitely bring in and build for the future. We keep going down. Most of these guys, not great, but up the top end anyway, some pretty good players. I know that I said most of the guys will look at bringing in above Brooks, but I've just remembered that, of course, our current under-19, under-20 team doesn't have a lot of players, so we might have to bring most of these guys through anyway, and at the worst we can bin them off when we do get some more players in here, if we do stay here for a long time. But I thought I'd show you guys that. I'll also give these guys real faces after today's episode, so when we get back for our next episode, which will be that Copa Libertadores second round game, these guys will have real faces. But we will play this league game and come back to show you highlights from that before that second leg of the Colombian Community Shield against Independiente Medellin. Okay, so we are back where we take a 3-0 lead into the Superliga Bet Play second league final against our fierce rivals Independiente Medellin. Since you were last here, we have had some transfers go through, some turned down, as well as our first league game of the season. First off, we will show you guys, we'll probably show you the transfers actually, because then you'll see some of these players who played in the following game. So we started off with Serna. His transfer came through. He was the centre-back from Deportes Tolima. 8 million for him. As I said, he looks really good, especially for an 18-year-old. He's going to do a good job for us. Can also play in the midfield, so maybe we could chuck him up there if we need to. We were also able to get Murillo on that free transfer, the free-star centre-back, just to provide a little bit of extra cover. Now, the one Sebastian Silva transfer, he ended up opting to go to DC United, even though we were paying them $1 million more. So that's a little bit disappointing. It does mean we might still be in the market for a midfielder. So because of that, I have put some offers in. One, which would be a good transfer if we got it, Wilmar Barrios from Zenit. I don't think they want to sell him, but we've been trying to get him for $5 million with lots of add-ons. The Colombian international, 52 caps. Very good CDM. I just want to see if we can get him. I think his wage might be an issue though. That's the other thing I should have considered. So it's unlikely, but he's a player I would absolutely love here. And we've also decided that we may as well get Lasso from Kakuta Deportivo, one of the more promising players. Considering they only want like 190,000 for him, he's a good player. He'll at least stack up our under 20s, so he's not as promising here as he was at Kakuta, but for the money, I think he's going to be good value, and he can, we're 2.5-star abilities, so he can definitely add to our first team at the very least. So he could be some good squad depth. So we're looking at that, but I'm still on the hunt for a CDM. As much as I like Fuentes, I want someone a bit younger. Maybe we could wait until the mid-season transfer window to maybe look at that, because Fuentes, of course, as we've discovered in the first game, very good at long throws. So since that first game, we had our league game, we were missing Fuentes due to suspension, as well as that injury that we suffered to Julan, but a very good 4-0 win here. You look at the stats, and Santa Fe did have a few shots, 4 on target, but weren't clinical enough, and we were very good, as we'll start to show you guys the goals. First goal, 10 minutes in, I've noticed is that this team, compared to Kakuta Deportivo, a lot better runs off the ball and some nicer balls over the top. That one from Boya to Mosquera to set up the first goal. A lot of those runs. Then a few long throws from Perez, which was interesting considering Fuentes was out. A good long throw there that we put away. And then Aloyo, that was just an absolute mess from Daza, and Gutierrez tucked that away. And then right on the stroke of what should have been full time, Gutierrez playing the other Gutierrez in. That was our young Gutierrez, who can play right back and attacking right wing. Seeing up Gutierrez up front for his second goal. It was Oscar who got the header for that first long throw goal. A really good 4-0 win. And we are looking good early days in our time here. We'll try and ignore that friendly, the 11-0 win, because that team is rubbish, obviously. And yeah, I'm feeling pretty confident coming into today's game, so hopefully we can keep this up. The Copa Libertadores has kicked off, so we've had to register our squad. So any players who we do bring in now, I don't know if they're going to be available at least maybe until the group stage. I'm not too sure how that works. But yeah, because the qualifying first round has started, we have had to register our squad. So if we bring someone in, we might not be able to use them in that competition. They've also drawn the group stage, but as we don't really know which group we would end up in if we won our ties, then there's not really much point showing you guys that. So what we will do, I think, is get into the second game, where we look to hold this lead over Independiente Medellin. I know the board aren't too fussed about what happens in this, but the assistant coaches and the fans are, so we're definitely taking this seriously. Only the one change, Mosquera coming in for Dulan, that was the only change that we've made. Fuentes is back from his suspension. In fact, I tell a lie, because Hector Boya has a slight injury and isn't quite in top condition, so he comes out, and for him, Bully Chlago, a young 19-year-old midfielder slash right back. I mean, I consider him more a midfielder. He's a lot more natural in these positions. He will come into the Calero role, and will bring Montoya onto the bench for him. But a pretty solid team, more or less as close to our best 11 as we can get at this stage of the season, considering injuries. So we have the TV coverage again, this time at our home ground. There is that team that we just ran through, the 4-3-3, as you come to expect from my team, a bit of Damon ball. And there is the Independiente Medellin going with a 4-2-3-1 this time, a different formation to the 4-4-2 they put out in the last game. Exactly the same uniforms as well, so that makes things nice and easy for us. And we will be playing left to right, but it is Independiente Medellin who will kick off. They have a 3-goal deficit to overturn away from home, a very tough ask, and hopefully we can win anyway, but at the very worst, if we lose, then we don't lose by too much, and we can pick up our first bit of silverware nice and early in the season, although they have an early free kick here, Independiente Medellin. Serna, in his first live comment, he heads that nicely out to Gutierrez, and he is on the counter-attack here, our striker. Nice chip. Oh, it's hit the post. I thought he let the keeper come a bit too close to him. That might have been what saved Independiente Medellin there, but a great early chance on the counter. But it hits the post with that little dinky chip. A good chance, but it does not go in the back of the net. Just after that, a long throw that was claimed by Majlanda in goal, but off the goal kick, we play it through to Gutierrez again after the goal kick was intercepted. Now we look to build it again. Fuentes, Buitrago getting his first run for the first team this season. Out to Perez, into Mosquera, back to Perez. Plaza, he has a couple of shots at it, but fires the second. over the top bar after the first was blocked, and it remains 0-0 after 5 minutes, but 3-0 on aggregate. Okay, free kick after 10 minutes. It's to Independiente Medellin, but it is cut out yet again in Gutierrez. He's got support and he's sizing up his man in a one-on-one. He's going to go round him and he tucks that bottom right corner. Serna yet again hitting the ball clear. He looks like he's going to be a very good defensive signing for us. And boy, that is a wonderful counter-attacking goal, making up for the first chance that we missed. It was the same combination. Gutierrez on the counter when he tried to do that chip over the keeper, hit the crossbar. This time he keeps it on the floor. The keeper left rooted on his knees, and it is in that bottom right corner from our side, and 1-0, 4-0 in aggregate early. Things looking very good here. Goal kick after 16 minutes. Can we pile the misery on Independiente Medellin? They are knocking it about the back. Molina out to Mainirlo. Back to Gonzalez. Back to Meneses. Good centre back. But we went with Serna instead, and it looks like that is paying dividends early because he is playing very well. Yet to concede a goal in his just over a game. Whereas Meneses, he might be on the wrong team, mate. Up to Buitrago, this goes. Can we make it 2-0 on the day? Up to Mosquera. Inching his way in the box. It's a tackle. He works through it. Mosquera's put the ball in, and Oscar, he didn't jump to head that in. He just sort of ran into it, and it's gone in the top right corner. A bit of a strange one. He starts doing some star jumps along with the fans, and it is 2-0 after 17 minutes. And we might have just found the best team in Colombia with this job. I think we've picked a really nice one. You see, he's just ran in, hasn't had to jump, and to be fair, he does actually move his head to get something on that, but did look a bit weird in real time. 2-0, 5-0 aggregate after 20 minutes. We're looking very happy here at Atletico Nacional. Free kick after 22 minutes. They're going to try and get us over the top. Meneses, he was offside, but Lara made a good save anyway. But it remains 2-0. We'll get some of these boys on yellows because there's a few to ease off tackles, and hopefully we can keep piling on the goals. Okay, we're up to 25 minutes now. We have a corner. Perez puts this in. It is rebounded a bit. I don't know if Perez deserves the assist for that, but Serna has got a goal, and that's his first for the club and his first live commentary, and we are battering Independiente Medellin here. Perez whips this in. I think that's come off a defender's midriff straight to Serna, who's supposed to be there heading the ball, but he's rocketed that into the top left corner, and it's all looking good. And now Fuentes has a long throw. It goes back out to him, and now he cuts inside the box, loses out to Meneses, and now Perez will get the ball up to Ortiz. We're looking very deadly early on, scoring lots of goals. Our defence to date has been good. It's a bit unlucky there from Independiente Medellin. They try and clear it. It was a ricochet, but we missed the chance that came from it. Still looking good though. 3-0 on the day and 6-0 on aggregate. Corner after half an hour is cut out to Mosquera. Now Buitrago, Serna, Fuentes holding position nicely just outside the box. We try and play Gutierrez in there. They just block the shot. It is cut out, and that will be that for now. And it remains 3-0 after 33 minutes. 35 minutes gone. It's a goal kick to Independiente Medellin. They play it short, much like we look to do when we have the ball, and they just knock it up to the midfielders. Seponich, I believe that is. He tries to run down the right, but the ball's taken off him by Perlaza. Oscar consolidates position, and now Arroyo. Both those left-sided players are on yellows. Don't know if that means they're going to miss the next game, but now that's headed through to Gutierrez, but the shot, not much power to the bottom left, and the keeper cleans it up, and it will remain 3-0. But we have yet another highlight as they play it out from the back. They try and pump a long ball, but that's not going to work with our defence. And now it's up to Perlaza, Gutierrez, Buitrago, and Gutierrez now finding Perez on the edge of the box into Buitrago. Mosquera has his shot blocked. It's a ball out to Perez. It's gone straight out for a goal kick. Not the best there from Buitrago, but it's still 3-0. And we have yet another highlight. This looks like a long throw chance for Fuentes. Puts it in. It's punched clear by the goalkeeper, Fuentes. I'm not sure it was Fuentes, but someone's shot blocked from our end, and now we've gifted possession after regaining it, albeit nothing coming from it. Still 3-0, and we have another highlight. 43 minutes gone. Gutierrez putting the corner in. It is cleared out, but only back to him. Perlaza up to Mosquera. Heel of a shot. It is just wide. It was a powerful shot, but just past the right upright. And as we approach half-time, it remains 3-0. And we've got another highlight here, just as we approach the end of referee's time in this first half. Fuentes up to Perlaza. Puts a nice ball out to Perez in a lot of space on the right. Can he find someone with a cross? Plays it back to Buitrago. Fuentes again. Those two 1-2ing it with each other. Back out to Perez. He puts the ball through for Mosquera in a nice spot, but not enough power on that shot. The direction wasn't bad, but Miranda able to make a pretty easy save. That is half time though, and a very good half it is. 3-0 on the day, 6-0 on aggregate. We are cruising towards our first bit of silverware. And in terms of player ratings, it's looking pretty good. Oloyo not playing as well as you'd expect maybe, but can't complain too much. We will make a change as we come into half-time. Oscar on a yellow and is on a yellow heart. We do have a league game coming up, so we may as well give Wormsley a go, a young player. Doesn't sound Colombian, but he is. Logan Wormsley, solid 3-star player with a fair bit of potential, so we're going to give him a crack while we have the opportunity to rotate our team. That will do for now. We've got a few defenders on yellow, so later on we might be looking at bringing Cordoba on for Oloyo or Cerna, but Cerna is playing quite well, so we might leave that one. We'll go back to the team talk, tell the boys we're happy, and get into the second half. Just that one change, Wormsley for Oscar, and we are kicking off in the second half, playing right to left. It would take a monumental collapse from here to not be winning a trophy at the end of this. Hopefully we get a trophy lift. Something that we don't really get in Colombia, I've noticed with what's been, well, since we've been here so far. But early on, it will be Independiente Medellin trying to get something going, as you'd expect, being that far behind in the tie. O'Connor finds Manello, and he's in behind our defence here, but the shot blocked by Perez, and it goes out for a corner just as we get into the second half. Manello to take the corner. Can Cerna clear this, or will they get their head on it? Ortiz, it is this time getting his head on it. O'Connor just beating Gutierrez to the ball. Midlanda, it goes back to, and that's the highlight. Still 3-0, 6-0 aggregate after 55 minutes. 57 minutes gone. We're going to make another change. We'll keep these boys fresh for later in the week. Gutierrez, our young right back / right winger. Again, a good youngster, 20 years old. We've had a few offers for this guy, so we better give him a bit of game time. Ronald Gutierrez, and he will come on for Oscar. And we'll do that change, keep the front three fresh. In fact, I noticed that Perez is also tired, so we might make all our subs now because good player he is. We'll bring Cordoba on for him. That's all our subs. I think we'll be okay with that. Hopefully no injuries now, and we hold a 3-0 lead at the 60-minute mark. Now in the 64th minute, Independiente Medellin were on the attack, but we've intercepted the ball, and now we look to counter. It's Ronald Gutierrez trying to find our striker Gutierrez, but plays it back to Ortiz. He'll play it up to Perlaza, up to the striker Gutierrez. Wormsley. Gutierrez getting inside the box. He'll have a crack. The keeper fumbles it, and the shot was put back in by Ronald, but it hit the post and stayed out. Still 3-0 with just over 20 minutes to go. 80 minutes we're coming up to. Cerna with a free kick, a nice bit of curve, but Miranda, it was a comfortable height for him from far enough out that he could just run to it and keep that covered. Still 3-0, 84th minute we are in now, and we have a free kick, and we've found Ronald on the right wing. Can he play it into the other Gutierrez? He gets past his man nicely. Here's a shot. Miranda pushes it out into the defence, but they have cleared it, and we do approach full time. 3-0 on the day, 6-0 aggregate. Right, we are coming up to the end of this tie. We have thoroughly dominated it. Have to admit, I thought this would be a bit more competitive than it has been. Maybe Independiente Medellin are also getting into the season, I suppose, gaining fitness, but based on this, they don't look as good as us, you have to say, and it's not really been close. Ortiz cutting out that attack as we come up to the 92nd minute when the referee was supposed to blow full time. They're knocking it about the back. not really looking at doing much, and that is the game. 3-0 on the day, 6-0 on aggregate, and we comfortably take out the Superliga bet play. And if that's a marker for the season, we should be winning a few more trophies, at least in Colombia. I'm not sure if we're quite ready to be having a crack at the Copa Libertadores too deep into the competition, but there I am. I think my hair's good now. Earlier in the game, I think I was running around with a bald head and these things, but we lift the Superliga bet play. The white and green ribbons come down from our stadium, and it is a brilliant start to our time at Atletico Nacional. One win from one game in the league, and we've thoroughly beaten our rivals over 2 legs to win the Superliga bet play, more or less that Colombian Community Shield. Cerna getting a goal and defending well up there with man of the match, along with Lara. He must be making a few good saves off camera. Oscar, of course, getting a goal, as did Alejandro Gutierrez to make it 3-0. And in this little session that we've played today, 3 very good results. So we can be happy with how we've started things here at Atletico Nacional. And there is the confirmation. We have got another trophy in our cabinet. See who's got the medals. No surprise that you have to play in at least one match. That kind of makes sense. Alejandro Gutierrez, player of the match, and that is our 4th Superliga bet play. De Mayor seemed to be sharing it with Independiente over the last few years. We look at the competition history. Yes, it's been a bit of a tussle between us two for the most part of the save game, but we've had our first crack at it and won it. So happy days and can't complain about that. We'll just check our profile, see if that's helped at all. Not really, just adds a bit more of a career milestone. To be fair, you wouldn't expect a competition like that to be helping me out too much. If we can do a good job in a competition such as the Copa Libertadores, maybe get to the quarterfinals of that, then I think that should boost our reputation quite nicely. You notice we're still studying for that Continental B license that we were working on when we were at the end of our run at Cúcuta Deportivo. But that will do for today's episode. A very good start to life here at Atletico Nacional. As I said, we will focus mainly on the cup competitions and the continental competitions this season, at least until we get knocked out of them. So, in tomorrow's episode, we will be taking on Blooming over 2 legs. I'm hoping that it's a bit more competitive than that game that we've just watched, but based on how that team looks, it might be another one-sided affair. At the very least, we'll get through to the Copa Libertadores and in the group stage if we get that far. There's always a chance of an upset. But if we do get that far, things should get a lot more competitive, taking on the likes of Flamengo and River Plate, those big Brazilian and Argentinian teams. Then things will get very interesting. And at some stage, we'll also kick into the Colombian Cup, which is a competition that, after getting quite close last year with Cúcuta Deportivo, with a stronger team here at Atletico Nacional, I think that's a competition that we can also be targeting, especially considering that the winner automatically gets into that Copa Libertadores group stage. But if you have enjoyed today's video, then make sure to hit that thumbs up button. Also, if you have not already, then please do subscribe to the channel and turn that notification bell on. It is greatly appreciated and lets me know that you guys are enjoying the content. But until tomorrow's episode, where we begin our Copa Libertadores run here at Atletico Nacional, enjoy the rest of your day. Cheers.